I done seen people that talk about God, but love is an action they don't want to do. It's easy to preach about love when you never consider commandments that apply to you. Why do we look at the heathen and think that Yahweh shall mercy a part of them too? Listen, the judgment that's written for all of the heathen. Don't jump in and leave out the blue. Innocent criminals guilty of killing a whole bunch of people. They plead in the case. Just because they saying how sorry they are, don't mean that their crime can just be erased. We gotta start treating nations the way that they treated our people when we was in chains. So they gotta do the same labor we did. The tables gonna turn, they'll do it in flames. Skillet be popping, grease be popping. Be not deceived, my music is buzzing. I ain't gotta talk about drugs or women or money, just listen. I ain't even cussing. I just figured that our people need more than to hire some judges to think that they stunting. I just be whipping these bars up the top of my head, the stove. I ain't even stuffing. Ain't even thinking of what I could do if I came in the Jew back when I was a child. Nation be cleaving the heathen, be thinking they really got something, but they jocking our style. Fact that we still in captivity, thinking we thrive from pride right now is wild. I give all praise to Yahweh, I came on the scene, no sin, no pride, no gal. Easy to think about heavenly gifts when you sit around thinking you won't have no trials. The Lord say you must go through fire refined and brought out alive, but you think it's foul. It's clear that your Bible collecting the dust that sit on your dresser, not using the wow. Compared to your flesh, you and your Bible is covered in dirt and dust of the ground. We get around, crying aloud, bringing it out, pinning it down, hitting the scripture, quick as a trickster. Windows Vista, we killing it, mister. I ain't got hate in my heart for art. I love all my people that strive for the truth. Easy to vouch for the righteous, my people, the salt of the earth, and they bringing the juice. If you can't repent for your sin, then you never gonna win. And I'm out and I'm checking the deuce. Trying to conceal the knowledge about who we are, but the prophets be up on the roof. I had to pause for a round of applause because that's what you can do. Not for the bars, but all of the laws that's given to you. Talking true potential, I've been out the window waving the flag of the Most High in Christ. We've been steady pushing, you ain't even looking. You too busy out here dabbing and strife. Wait till you step to the plate and you check out the sword of the spirit, but you got a knife. Piercing the doctrine and guts in the blood of these pastors. Now trust me, you're risking your life. Hold up, I done gave y'all too much of this. The flaming sword gotta wait, build up to this. The flames here too hot, apocalypse. If you think this whack, boy, shut your lips. Real rap, Stone Cold Stunner up in this. Make you take a knee like Kaepernick. Take a record of the heat like Fit. Big bars tight, trust me, it's no accident.
The book of Acts, chapter 5, verse 29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men.
All right, shalom, y'all. Most High in Christ bless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shalom, y'all. Little technical difficulties, but all praises. We are live. Like Elder Ozias used to tell us, man, you know, things happen sometimes, but all praise we here on another Sabbath class. I'm Brother Roy, and I got with me to my left
Brother Jacob.
And so you see the name of the class, Building a Nation Behind Enemy Lines. So one thing that we got to learn as a people, man, and we was talking to a lot of people today, man. We were out at Virginia Union's homecoming, and we got to talk to a lot of people passing by. And honestly, actually, though, there were a couple people that actually knew who the Israelites were or who we were. But the majority, they don't know who they are. So with that, you know, in the quote-unquote black structure or the black conflicts and the black things that we deal with as a community, as a nation, we all have different ways of how we want to come together and how we want to build things. You know, Black Lives Matter had a big movement a couple years ago, had everybody coming out and marching, and we didn't really accomplish anything as a group of people. And then, you know, all right, it's time to get Trump out. Now let's go vote Democrat. What Biden said, you ain't black if you don't vote Democrat. And we still got him in office. And everything that we've tried, ever since we were able to cast our vote and pick a side, Democrat, Republican, we've had so many different ways of trying to build this nation up. Martin Luther, we had an elder brother today say he grew up and hearing Malcolm X speak. We had the Marcus Garveys, you know, the Black Panthers. So many different things we try, but it has not worked for us. We get that false sense of hope and then it's a roller coaster ride. We get that false sense of hope, and then we're right back down. And it's over and over and over again. So this class is back to the basics of dealing with our people, but we got to do it under the government of Christ. Christ is that building block that we should be building on. But everybody wants to build off all these other different entities and different ideologies. And that's why we keep failing. Even in the scriptures, a nation divided is going to fall. So we have to come in unity. And then behind enemy lines is because we're in another nation right now. Another nation is ruling over us in this world. So that's why we have to be wise on how we do it, but we have to do it according to God's word. So let's open up with the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. And a lot of brothers and sisters that either, see brothers on the streets teaching, this is a chapter that we use often to begin the process of showing our people who we are as a nation. But for today's class, we're going to show why we're in the position we're in, and then we're going to go from there. So let's start with Deuteronomy 28 and verse 36.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 36. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
Right. So it's prophesied that we were going to be cast out to all the four corners of the earth. And we're going to read that again in the same chapter. And how we would go to the other nations. And what we did was partake on their customs and their culture. And then after you do that, a generation goes by. Now your children don't know their history. Their children don't know their God. They don't know their heritage, what the Lord gave us as a people. And then we start going into idolatry. So now we're going into idolatry, and then we start following their customs, and that's destroying our nation. Keep going.
Verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
Right. So just like we brought out so many times a day at camp, of why don't we know our name? Why don't we know our nationality? We have people still calling ourselves black, African American, black African American. One brother said, like, we call all ourselves everything but children of the Most High God, the nation of Israel. So we have to first know who we are in order to build this nation. We can't build a nation if we don't know what our nation is. Just like any Fortune 500 company, any big business is going to have a mission statement, what they plan on doing, what their whole ideology is, and how they're going to achieve it. Our people is, I think. Well, now you got 10 different ideas on the table, and everybody thinks they're right. And in today's world, it's hard for you to tell somebody they're wrong. You have to accept everybody's belief now. And that's a problem. And it has not been working for us. Let's go to verse 15.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So this was a future prophecy at the time Moses was telling the Israelites. This will come to pass. If we don't obey the agreement we had with the Most High God, then curses were going to come upon us. And this is why we're behind enemy lines now. Keep going.
Verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Right, and we go over this all the time about the work field, the slave fields. In the cities, we're in the worst parts as a group of people. There's some of us, it might be, middle class, and it might, even fewer might be in the upper class. But we're in the worst parts of the cities. They still got bad water in Flint, Michigan. Still in Massachusetts, in our hoods, where it's more than 50% black people or more, they still have bad water, and that's just two places in this country, and we don't hear about it anymore. So now it kind of doesn't exist, but these things are still happening to us. And then now with everything that's going on in the Middle East, we're getting even more distracted about some of the problems we still are dealing with right now. But it's now what's going on over there is very important biblically, but we still have things that we're dealing with. But the media is going to keep shifting where they want our minds to be at.
Correction, it's no longer the Middle East, it's now West Asia.
Oh yeah, I forgot I saw that the other day. West Asia, Northeast Africa. It's pretty much it's gonna be gone soon. Jump down to 28.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 28. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart.
So everything that we are going through, and this is the second time we've read this already, the Lord is doing these things to us. See, we want to point the finger. Oh, the white man this, and the president this, and Trump that, and Hillary. No, we have to look in the mirror because, as we read in verse 15, we're the ones that disobeyed the Most High God. So now these are the things that is happening to us. And the reason I'm going over this is to show why and how we're behind the enemy lines, how we're on the wrong side of things right now. But this is the reasoning behind it. So that way we know what we need to do to get out of it. Keep going.
Verse 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore.
Right. So now we're standing in the middle of the day, but we're reaching for something like a blind man. In the middle of the day, we still can't see because the Lord has covered our eyes, put that veil over us where we can't see and understand the things that are going on or what to search for, what to look for. But now when we realize these curses are put on our people, now we can start coming back into the understanding of what's going on. But that's why we reach for spirituality. We was talking about that before we went out to camp today. People want to say I'm spiritual. But what kind of spirits are you carrying? What kind of doctrine are you pushing? What about your spirituality is going to help our nation? And they never can answer those follow-up questions. Oh, I talk to the ancestors. Well, which ones? How do you summon the ancestor you're talking to? What answers are you giving? What power do they have to help our people in this condition? Oh, I'm a God. I'm my own God. All these different ideologies our people are reaching for like a blind man. We don't know what we're searching for right now.
You want to add something to that?
Go ahead.
So our people, we've been marching since the 60s. And it's like we cannot find the answer. And that's because we're not looking for where we're supposed to look. But you turn your attention to West Asia, North Africa, the Horn of Africa, and you see all those Arab folks over there, and they're marching and protesting. And they're protesting for a reason. They know what the answer is.
Right.
They know that they have to do something about the state of Israel killing their people. So they're trying to convince their governments to get involved. Whereas we just march and then we get tired and forget about it and go home.
Right. And yeah, I can't add nothing to that. But that's really what's going on. And we're repeating that cycle over and over. And what's that saying? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That's why our people are literally going crazy out here right now. Like we told a brother today, he was upset with the way things were going. I was like, that's that's biblical, right? Oppression makes a wise man mad. When you know better and then you see the situations that our people are in or the things that our people are going through, it causes anger. It makes you go crazy in your mind because you know better. And like he was saying, the same thing is going on over there in West Asia. They know what's going on, but they know they are unifying together under one mindset. And that's the same way our people should be. We read it all through the different wars, the different things going on. When the Lord is with us, when we're obedient, we overcome all of our enemies. Even with smaller numbers. I forget where it's at right now, but when he told them, don't take all your soldiers. Because the Lord is going to show you his power. That he's going to help you defeat your enemies. But we got this mindset of we think we know better than our creator. So we have to humble down.
It goes back to what you were saying earlier in class. So, because everybody there they might look at Malcolm X and see something that they like in Malcolm X and follow him. Or they'll see something in Martin Luther King and follow him. but they know if to follow Christ, they got to put away wickedness.
Right.
They don't want to do that. They want to remain in that.
And that's the stronghold that our people have, is they battling their own flesh. Like, then as you said, it reminded me of the brother that was walking by, and now he ain't never come back. Now I think about it. I read the Apocrypha, the Quran, the Bible. Man, you double-minded. Now you get to pick and choose what you like from each book and live according to what your lust is, according to your flesh. Because if you were just living by the Bible, it's going to contradict some things in the Quran. You just living by the Quran is going to contradict some things in the Bible. You can't have it both ways.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. It kills me when people say, "Oh, I read the whole Bible. I read the Quran." But did you apply anything in the scriptures? You can read all the books all day, but the Bible says you have to obey these words in order to gain your wisdom and knowledge. That's the problem. Ever since we've been in this, we go to camp. Oh, I read the Bible. Nah, you ain't doing nothing the Bible said though. So you have no understanding. Verse 43. I know you like this one.
You gotta pull that script over.
Mhm.
What's that?
What you just said. How to obtain understanding.
Oh, okay. We can go there. There's a couple different ones. We can go there. Well, matter of fact, let's go to it now. We can do Deuteronomy. Go to was it 4 and 6 or 4 and 5?
One of them, somewhere between 4 and
4,
6.
5, and 6.
Yeah. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me.
Right. Everybody, the laws Moses got from the Lord. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. That ye should do so in the land whether ye go to possess it. Keep them therefore and do them.
And you have to do them. We read the same thing in James. Not just to be hearers of the word, but doers of the word.
Same thing in Revelation 1.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed him that readeth and keepeth the things that are written therein.
Keep going.
Keep them therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
And the nations do not look at us like that right now because we are not being obedient to the Most High God. And then you look at the shepherds that we have in these churches, and they're leading all the sheep astray by saying you don't have to keep these commandments.
And nobody is looking at the people in the state of Israel saying these people are full of wisdom and understanding.
Great.
No damn body. None.
Man, you know what? I didn't even think about that. With this title, though, we could have talked about this whole war again.
Yeah, we're going to go into it next week. I'm hitting them again next week.
Since Jamil wanted some more of that, give me Psalms 111 and 10. Because this verse reminded me, because we talked to 2 elder ladies today, and they had some understanding, and they even had some relatives that knew they were Israel. And she said something about fearing the Lord. But then she was still almost in a rush to leave us and not talk about God's word. But it's because we don't truly fear the Lord. We say that, a lot of there's so many cliche statements that get made in church that it gets numb. We almost get numb to it. We don't really believe it anymore because we say it so much. But go ahead.
The book of Psalms, chapter 111 and verse 10. The wicked. I'm in the wrong chapter. My bad.
Oh yeah, you're in 112.
I don't skip the whole chapter. The book of Psalms, chapter 111 and verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever.
Right. This is how you obtain your understanding, your wisdom. This is what the Lord says over and over, that you have to do his commandments. So saying you just read the whole book doesn't mean a lot if you haven't applied anything that you've learned. And especially in the beginning. Now, a lot of, we got a Bible study group chats and things like that. And you might only know one scripture right now. You might only know one commandment. You might only know the Sabbath day. Well, then keep that. And then as you continue to learn, add on to it. And the Lord is going to continue to increase. But you can't be a hypocrite You can't not put forth the work and expect some more knowledge and understanding. Not according to God's wisdom. You better say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say the very first thing I did when I saw the video and I understood I was Israel. The very next thing I did, as soon as the video went off, I went online and looked up the commandments, and then started reading through them. And so the first thing I kept was the next Sabbath day. That was my starting point.
And that was, I think we did better with getting rid of the pork and shellfish, and then the Sabbath. It was kind of like, those were kind of like hand in hand. Those were like the first two ones that me and my household started keeping. And I wasn't with a congregation. I was starting to hear the truth here and there, but I saw how important it was to start keeping these things. And that's where I started at, the Sabbath and my dietary laws.
Nigga was still using the microwave, though.
Nah, but I was boiling tea.
Now what I did,
I was like, I ain't cooking food, but I'm still like But see, that was my understanding in the very beginning. But so that's why I said my dietary law was a little stronger in the beginning, because the first couple months I was still boiling tea on Sabbath.
I went and got a big silver pot, and then before it got dark on Friday, I cooked a big pot of food, and that's how I started. So I didn't cook, and because I had read where the scripture said where your food wouldn't spoil.
That's what I was about to say. He gathered enough on Friday.
I was still using the microwave. I wasn't cooking nothing. I'm just heating it up, just taking the shit off.
That man try to be crafty. What we at? 43. Deuteronomy 28:43.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
Right, and we see that right now. I asked a brother today. I said, "Man, where are we? Is our people at the top or the bottom?" And he was like, "Man, we at the bottom." And that's what's going on right now. This was another curse for our nation of people. So now this is time to rebuild, knowing what's going on. And we went over this a couple weeks ago in a class, showing that we believe this was Edomites, Amalek more specifically, because like Brother Jacob had brought out in the class, everywhere we went, as soon as we got out of Egypt, as soon as we had our land, Amalek, the Edomites were right there with us. And if you see now, keep reading, because the next verse, I'll make that point. Verse
44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
So if you really do your research and look at who is running things, all of us have a little bit of knowledge of, all the TV channels come from like 6 companies. All the banks are ran by these couple families. And when you look at who these people and their families are, it's the Jewish people that run these things. And so when you want to go to the bank and you want a loan, you're not loaning the bank money. They're loaning you money. And what do? Usury. But they claim to keep the Torah.
And I was going to say they own social media.
Right. Yep.
So we had our elder Ozias. He used to be our elder, and he did a class showing all of these old Edomites that are still in the Senate. What's the other one called?
Congress?
Yeah, but it's all Congress. You got the House and you got the Senate. You got all these people that's in the House or in the Senate, and they're in their 80s and 90s, these old Edomites. And then when you go to the name, go to Wikipedia, and click on early life, and it say born to Jewish parents.
Or from a Jewish family or something like that. All of them. All the elite families and the people in charge at the very, very highest level, all of them came from Jewish families or Jewish religion or
Yes, most of them, they have Jewish parents. And then people wonder why Biden goes over to Israel and they get the full backing of the United States. Because they're the same folks. Even in the UK. I'm watching how that play out, though.
Let's go down to 64 because I'm not going to beat the curses up.
Oh, yeah. The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other.
And that's very important. Important as you go through your studies, and just little nuggets like this is going to come up more and more, especially when you see Christ's return and how the prophecies say He's going to gather the people together from the east, the west, the north, and the south, because it was prophesied that we were going to be scattered among all the people. So He's got to gather us back in. Keep going.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
And that's what we read earlier in verse 36. Now we're under their doctrine, their ideologies, because we went after what their customs were, and we lost all of our heritage. And when you look into these wood and stone, that's Islam and Christianity, Catholicism or Christianity. The two biggest religions on the whole earth, our people were right along with it. So we are still behind enemy lines because we're still subject to all of the things these other nations are doing.
Can I pull the precept?
Go ahead. What you want?
Acts chapter, not sure if it's 16, somewhere between 16 and 18. But like the scripture says, so we're going to be scattered into all of these nations serving other folks' gods, wood and stone. Watch this. So this is, I think it's 17. This is what Paul is looking at. Yeah. Verse 15 and 16.
The book of Acts, chapter 15 and verse 16.
No, 15.
Verse 15?
Chapter 17 and verse
17,
15.
sorry. Chapter 17 and verse 15. And they that conducted Paul brought him unto Athens, and receiving a commandment unto Silas and to Timotheus, for to come to him with all speed, they departed.
So he's gone to Greece. What is Greece known for? All their gods. Zeus, Athena, all of these different gods, right? Next verse.
Now while Paul waited for them at Athens, his spirit was stirred in him, when he saw the city wholly given to idolatry.
See, wholly given to idolatry, our people scattered into these places, serving their gods. That's why read the next verse.
Therefore disputed he in the synagogue with the Jews, and with the devout persons, and in the market daily with them that met with him.
Right, because of that idolatry. He disputing with them.
Right. Verse 65.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind.
So when we try to rebuild, we have to do it for ourselves. We can't take their structure and then try to build our nation with that. It's not going to work. The whole time, we're not going to find ease amongst these nations. Like when we had segregation, we had each other's back. Like Brother Jacob brought out today, you would call your neighbor's brother and sister and things like that because you knew you had to unify in order for y'all to rise up. And then we get to integration and we slowly start losing that because now other people are coming in and infiltrating us. And all the businesses we used to own, now they own them. And we're slowly getting weaned out. So now everything that we want and desire, we have to go to other nations for. And that's another curse in verse 48 that we are going through.
It's crazy because before class, we were watching some marches for people marching for Palestine or marching for Gaza. And you have a bunch of Arabs and other foreigners, but sprinkled in, you got white folks.
Yep.
Those are the very people where the problem comes from.
And it's the same thing we have with Black Lives Matter. All the pictures, they arm in arm on the front lines. But it's because of your nation of people that we are in this situation.
Martin Luther King, too, walking arm in arm.
Right. I ain't gonna lie, that Malcolm X energy was a little different though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Verse 66.
I could see him now, man, standing at the window with that chair.
Would have made Malcolm proud by any means necessary.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 66. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life.
Right, and that's the same way. We've been going through that for decades, centuries. Since slavery, coming out of slavery, anywhere we traveled. Imagine traveling in the 50s and 60s and getting pulled over by the police in the middle of Mississippi somewhere. You don't know what's going to happen now. And then they publicized it so heavily when Barack Obama was president about all the things that these police, the people that's supposed to be protecting and serving, and if y'all notice, they took that off the police cars now, that the people supposed to be protecting and serving us are the ones that still lynching us by the gun, by whatever happens in these back of these police cars, whatever happens in the police stations, and we don't know what happened and why all these people are dying and getting killed. We have no assurance of our lives. Even we can't trust the food that we're eating now. All these videos coming about with the fake chicken and 3D meats and clone meat. You don't have no assurance in the things that these people are giving us in this life anymore.
Man, when you look at the situation, it's not a war. It's not a war. When you look at the situation in Gaza, it's like a real fast similitude of all the things that have happened to us. Mm-hmm. Because they'll tell the Palestinians, if you move from this area to this area, you'll be safe, and then they bomb them. You know, they said if you travel down this particular highway, you won't get bombed. They bombed them. So it's the same thing that they have done to us over a long period of time. But when you look over there, it's happening fast.
Right.
No assurance of thy life.
And we was telling a few people today, like we try to go out to reach our people, and that's why I try not to have any issues with my brothers and sisters that's out here pushing. But if you really have to get out to where the people are, I understand we have social media. This is just a tool that we can use, but we really have to go out to where our people are. Everybody not gonna see this video, but they see us in the streets. And because we take it serious about really trying to wake our people up, because it's happening. Things are happening really fast, and different things are happening. Hurricanes on the West Coast, earthquakes, killings, floods, famine. If you all the fake food they're making, that's because we don't have enough real food, or it's by design for other reasons as well. But there's so many different things going on, and then with the prices going up higher, it's going to cause more conflict for the lower income people, because now crime is going to rise. You're not going to be able to afford these things. It's a domino effect of things that they're doing to us. So it's really time for us to wake up and realize these things.
Look, I hate to keep harping on this, but it's an excellent example. So everybody's angry about, not only are they like shelling and killing people over there, but they have cut off all the
electricity.
Water. Yeah, they cut off electricity, water, gas, everything that you need. Well, guess what? That happened to us in our land in 70 A.D. And it wasn't a 1 week or 2 week siege. They had us besieged until we started eating our own children.
I was going to bring that out in this class, but I didn't want to. I was going to bring it out because that evil eye we have towards each other, it's the same thing that's going to start happening again, because things are going to get worse and worse. The American dollar is going down. So that means prices are going to go up. The cost of living is, like 10 times higher than it was in the early 1900s, but the salary hasn't increased 10 times. So you're looking at, it's an unequal balance of how we're going to be able to survive out here. Now, what we're going to touch on later is that we've got to seek the kingdom first. We got to seek the Lord first and abide in his commandments, because then he will protect us through these times. But if we're out here thinking we're going to do our own things, we're not going to be able to unite and build as a nation. And then if you're building as a nation, your brother might have a garden. We know brothers right now that own farms. And it might not be to 20, 30, 40, 50 acres, but they have enough to help their family out. Another brother I follow, he goes to the market once a month selling things. It's all those type of things that we could be able to start helping with each other. But we all have our own mindsets, and most of us, I remember Ozias used to say this, oh, you guys want to separate and leave America and go set up what? You're going to set it up exactly like America set up, because we're not using God's words to set up things how he told us to set it up. And it kills me when you go to these churches and they barely read from the Old Testament. And they wonder why you can have 5 churches in the neighborhood and still there's a shooting on the same street. Because it's not changing, it's not helping, it's not developing our people to what God wants us to be and how we're supposed to deal with each other.
Shoot.
How we're supposed to resolve issues.
How many shootings you done had in the church because the pastor sleeping with somebody's wife?
The video resurfaced this week. The guy that walked up to the brother on the front row and stole off on him. Y'all remember that video from a year or two ago? Yeah. I seen somebody repost that this week. He walked up to him, boom, right in the middle of the church.
Man, and I'm sorry, the cliche joke that the pastor's daughter, always the crazy.
Oh, and them sons too. I used to sit with the pastor's son back in the day when I was in high school, middle school. Those are some of the wildest ones, yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of that going on in these churches because we have no structure. We have not built everything, and we're going to get into that more. That's mainly what this class is about. You saw the picture we put up for class. Christ is that chief cornerstone. Everything we build on has got to be off of Christ. Let's go to Joshua 1 and 8.
Mm. The book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 8. This book of the law.
Actually, start at verse 7.
Yeah. How about 5?
You got it.
The book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 5. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee.
And the thing about that, it's so powerful because we don't know the true power we have. And that comes through Christ. Just like, what did Paul say? When he said, even in my
infirmities,
even
my weakness,
I rejoice in my infirmities, because that's when Christ, I'm paraphrasing, but Christ is his strength through him. So he rejoices in his weakness because Christ is his strength. If we truly understood the power that we have, having Christ on our side, we wouldn't fear anything. We wouldn't fear anybody. And he would stand before us in all of these different things that we're opposed against. But we think we have a power in our own might, and we're trying to go fight these battles with no strength, no wisdom, no knowledge, thinking we can do it on our own. And then that's why we fall, because Christ is not with us if we're not doing it according to his will.
Or put our trust in the other nations.
Exactly. I guarantee you right now, if they say a nuke is headed to America, they're going to be turning on CNN and Fox and listening for what they're supposed to do. Go to this bunker, go to this, do this. What they tell you, 1999, all the computers were going to crash, stay in the house, get your canned food and all that stuff. They panicking, and that's the same thing people would do because we don't trust in the Lord to provide our needs and to take care of us.
What about that vaccine everybody just took?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Perfect example. I don't know if y'all can hear him. Brother Jamil talking about just like when they told us to go run and get the vaccine. Our people, well, I mean, I'd rather get it to be safe than to not get it. And what you don't know if it's safe to take it.
It wasn't.
And that's another thing. That's going to put me on a whole nother topic. When COVID hit and you had a couple hundred people die, they shut the whole country down. When the vaccine came, and it was 3,000 people the last time I looked that got killed from the vaccine, they still pushed the vaccine and boosters. You see the hypocrisy in that? When it was only a couple hundred people dying from COVID, they shut the whole country down.
It's so wicked because, so I remember we had caught COVID and lived, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have natural immunity for 4 to 5 years. They started advertising that if you beat COVID and had natural immunity, if you get the shot, you will have double immunity. Like, are you serious?
Hey,
There's some street thugs.
hey,
Yeah.
and what made it even more wicked was like states like New York, you couldn't go anywhere without a vaccine. So imagine the oppression those people were going through that didn't want to get it or didn't feel like they had any other choices. And I'm not blaming people for not knowing what the best decision to make. But the thing, my point is, we don't trust in the Lord. We go on and trusting in man. We go on and trusting in these scientists who don't believe in God. I believe in Sirach when it talks about going to the physician, because the physician is going to pray to the Lord. But you don't have these doctors praying to the Lord before they make these chemical science projects and poke it in your arm.
See, like somebody was telling me, and I know I said it years ago, that what COVID did was expose the leaders of this country. You know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
It exposed them for not having control. Everyone has had the illusion that they're in control, and they're 100% not in control. Something you can't even see came along and just disrupted everything.
I mean, stock market, everything. Everything went down. And I wish I was a smarter man back then, because, boy, everything crashed. And like you said, it's something we couldn't even see or control. And we see war, and we fear war and what's going on, but look how the Lord still shut the whole world down. Then not one bullet fired, but everybody locked up in their houses. All right.
A lot of people got divorced during that time.
Yeah. And, I mean, and a lot of wickedness got prevailed. Even the children suffering for not being able to go to school. And that just shows you how wicked this world is set up. And this does go with the class. The world's so wicked that people had to get extra food stamps to feed their kids because they were staying home more. Why is this system in supposedly the greatest nation on earth set up in a way where we can't even afford to feed our kids because they didn't go to school to get their normal lunch? That's a wicked thing to be. That's a wicked nation to have it set up like that. Or to be in a position where both parents have to work full-time jobs, and then a stranger has to raise your kids. From some of these daycares allow them at like 3 weeks old, 6 weeks old. So you got somebody else raising your kids 8 to 10 hours a day. You get 2 hours with them at night, and then it's all over. That's the cycle. And then they're 18 and you kick them out the house.
You don't know if the daycare going to take them to see a drag queen show.
Or the drag king don't show up there.
Right.
Or even public libraries, things like that, story time. And it's not even that they're just drag queens. They go above and beyond and look like clowns with the makeup or the horns or the flag or whatever it might be. They go above and beyond. All these parades. If you get caught using the bathroom outside after the club because it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you got to go, you get an indecent exposure charge. But when you go to these parades, they have children there. You could be as lewd as you want to be. If y'all don't see the agenda and the things that's going on, and you ain't got to have your kid. It's not whether I let my kids listen to Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion or take them to the gay parade. It's not about that. It's about the wickedness that this world is built on. The nation is running these things is allowing all that to happen. Why are we enabling that? And black women, y'all are some of the biggest culprits of it too, because you guys endorse it. You got, man, I can't think of the comedian's name. He a TikToker, but he pretended to be real effeminate to get a girl's number.
Oh yes.
You seen that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then he get the number, and he started talking real straight, and she's like, "Huh? What? I thought you was." She got mad because he was straight. This is the mindset that the nation we're living in has got our people starting to think and accept. And it's the same thing we went through in history. History is steadily repeating itself. It's the same thing our people have been going through. And we keep making the same mistakes, and the Lord keeps slapping us right back down. But we're not going to have too many more chances to get it right. That's why you see, there's a lot more people waking up and speaking the same message that we're speaking. It's not by accident. We got to take heed to these things and really start paying attention to what's going on. Stop living in the fairy tale land. We was at Virginia Union Homecoming today, and I'm not saying we can't have fun sometimes. We can't enjoy things. But look when they do these celebrations. They do it on the Sabbath. Had all the food venues and everything set up. When I looked up the homecoming to see what time the game started, $30 to get in the game. You got to pay for that now. You got to buy and sell on the Sabbath. Then you know, and I know our people are talented, but then you got our people is the entertainment. And then everybody out there that's enjoying themselves. Even as chilly as it was today, you still got girls wearing a little bit of clothes. It's just a whole lot of madness going on, and we're just numb to what's going on around us.
Yeah, because it didn't. They were there for the party because it didn't matter to them that they lost 57-0.
Oh, that was the score?
Yeah.
Good gracious. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't even matter anymore. That was just the start. You probably started your day drinking, and then after this, now you got all. I went to college. I know how the party scenes go, and then you going, and then it's going to happen. It's going to be all night.
Yep, because they was leaving. We left about an hour after the game was over, and they were still coming. So
yep,
they coming to party,
right?
And do lewd stuff.
As soon as we moved our parking space, people pulling right in. It was nonstop. Verse 6.
The book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 6. Be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them.
And that goes into all the conflict that's going over there now in West Asia, because the people that's over there fighting is fighting over a land that's not theirs. I know you probably guys seen a lot of those memes and things on Facebook this week and last week. They're fighting over a land, but it's got to happen. It's got to happen to trigger other events for the final woe to happen.
It's so crazy, Roy. They don't even have, they can't tell you their tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a allotment for each tribe, an inheritance for each tribe. They over there trying to push people off the land. That shows the Lord did not set them there. They're supposed to get the boundaries of where they're supposed to be at according to their tribe. They don't even know what tribe they are. Bunch of damn liars.
And then when they get that land, they're supposed to live peacefully according to God's words. They should be the example, like we read earlier, like you said earlier. They should be the example right now. Israel should be showing the rest of the world how to live. But you see what's really going on over there, and that should be another clue that they are not the people that's supposed to be there.
Huge one.
Keep going.
Verse 7. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law, which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou doest.
Thou goest.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thou goest.
And that's how we should be bold as a lion, like the scriptures say. Once we start following these laws and commandments, we should know the power that we have, like I said earlier. It shouldn't be no trembling. It shouldn't be no fear. The Lord said he didn't give us a spirit of fear. The Lord said we should be strong and very courageous keeping these laws. Why do we want to take that away? What's the opposite? You take the laws away, then what are we going to be? Cowardly? Chaos and a bunch of cowards. That's why you don't have any men to stand up in our nation right now and truly lead the way we're supposed to. You got situations, and I was really gonna make a class about it specifically, but man, the women this week, last week and a half or so, y'all been taking some major L's. I'm sorry to say it. Was it Tia Mowry? She out here in the dating scenes, and she can't find a good man just to court her anymore. Nobody courts anymore like her ex-husband did her the first time. Sounded silly when you say that. Oyster girl want to eat 4 dozen oysters, and mad the dude don't want to pay the bill, supposedly. Then poor Uncle Will dealing with Jada Pinkett. Where's the alpha males at? Where's the alpha males at? And now, granted, I'm not living in that man gates. I don't know what goes on day to day. For all we know, she's selling a book. This could be a whole publicity stunt to make some money. Who knows? And this is the kind of sacrifices they make with their lives to keep money and keep their name in rotation on the airways. But either way, it makes our men look weak and bad. I mean, Will Smith's got bangers for movies. Even had a hip-hop career. And now he's looking silly as an elder man right now. 40, 50 years old.
He my age, man.
A little older, but 50-something?
He gotta be.
It's exactly. And then you look at some of the weird stuff, how they raising their children, or they said they never disciplined them growing up. This is what's going on. Even it's the same way in our relationships, our households. Either the man is not there, so the children, the men and women, only getting raised by women. What kind of spirit can you? How can you fully develop that young man, or that young woman? Because she needs to see an example too of the husband treating the mother the correct way, and the father there to teach the family and lead the family. We're lacking that so much across the table.
literally, you see other nations and who they got stand up for them, it be a man. Then you come to us, it's Oprah. Literally, that's our go-to. Like, that's everybody go-to.
Or like, I don't know if y'all can hear Brother Jamil. Like, you look at all these other nations, when they have somebody stand up for their country, 9.5 times out of 10, it's going to be a man to stand up and make a claim or be leading them in a certain direction. But as soon as something happened and they put the camera on the family, they have the woman as the spokesperson.
I'm trying to think of an Arab woman that I even know as a spokesperson, period.
You probably won't. You
Right.
probably won't. Because they in order over there. And then what did our women do? We got to go over there and liberate them, give them more freedom and rights.
Following after Becky, the white woman, talking about they're being oppressed over there.
And getting them little girls killed.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because the men ain't standing for it.
Exactly. But see, they look at that like bondage. But they in more order than we are, than we should be.
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago you had when the white women are doing that, what they call slut shaming, and they will like run around with their breasts hanging out, and 2 Arab women did that. I don't know where they was at, but they had like a Muslim imam on stage, like talking about the Quran, and they ran up there with no shirts. Them women got stumped. They got knocked down and they got stomped.
I wonder what the percentage of like sexual crimes is over there. Probably dumb.
It's low. It's low.
Right.
Because they covered up.
Right. And that's another thing too. Our women think they can dress like anything and not get a reaction. And I know that what they're gonna say. Well, so and so had on pants and a loose shirt, and she still got in a situation. But that's not the majority though. Or you haven't. It's just like a drug habit. You take something the first time, you get that feeling, and you keep taking it. Next thing you know, you're strung out. It's the same thing when you see an attractive woman. That spirit on a man is gonna keep building up until he's not gonna be able to resist himself. And I'm not saying give a pass to that man, because we all have our things that we need to take care of, but we should be helping each other out.
You're provoking his spirit. If he dealing with that, and if he sees that with some of these sisters, it's provoking him to take action, even though he shouldn't.
Exactly. Just like if you addicted to a drug and you trying to not deal with it anymore, you can't put it in front of you.
Right.
If you're an alcoholic, you can't be in an environment where you can be able to grab a drink, because that's going to be an issue for you. But the more you give into it, the more you're going to drink, the more you're going to take that drug. And right now, you can walk around any public area and you're going to be exposed to all these different lusts.
And another crazy thing. If you take a beautiful sister, let's say a sister that some dude would lust over, see her in something tight, skimpy, and she revealing, you take that same sister and put a pretty dress on with fringes, a hair wrap, and the men will open the door for them.
Right. They get
like,
treated
how you
different.
doing? Yeah.
Right.
Treat them completely different.
I remember the dating scene, and then, because I'm gonna be honest, in the dating scene when I was single, it was like, okay, if I see a girl, I'm looking like, okay, she probably. But then you see that respectable young woman, I'm gonna have to work too hard for that. That's the mentality. And so being honest, one moment for you women, that's what's going on. You look easy. So that's why you get talked to and approached the way you get talked to and approached.
Man, let me say this. And I understand it partially because women be in competition. Men be in competition. You're in competition trying to find a mate. And so when you see a woman would just go all out and do all these different things to get a man, then another woman would be like, damn, I got to do even more. And it just but instead of the bar being raised, it's being lowered. Mm-hmm. That's what's going on.
And man, let's finish this, because I'm gonna get into the women a little bit more in a minute, because we can sit on this and we might not even go over scriptures anymore with all stuff that's going on,
right?
Because that ties in with the same stuff that's been going on this week. I even heard a woman. All right, this is my last one for right now. Yo, I'm telling you, because it's so silly out here, man. That's why our men got to stand back up. Because I was on the comments and the girl was like, men, y'all leaders need to stop pointing fingers on the blame on women. You need to hold the men accountable. And I agree. You're right. The men need to be held accountable, but that doesn't take the accountability away from the women. But anyway, this lady said, if a man takes me on a date and pays with his credit card, I don't want to go out with him. And then she went on that little spill for about 30 seconds and then said, cause he gotta pay the government back. I said, so you don't even know how credit cards work. What you think he had? Did you mean EBT card or something? I don't know. What did you mean? That's not how credit cards work. You don't pay the government back. But that's how the women are thinking so silly out here that what difference do it make how he pays for the dinner if he took you out? Especially the first date.
I was sure get them more dates.
Yo, it's silly, man. A year ago, I heard, if he pull out his Cash App card, I ain't dating him. What? What difference do it make how he's taking care of that bill? Now, granted, it might show you something if he's using Cash App as his bank and that's his only source of moving money. That might show you something about his financial situation. But at the same time, who cares? If I do a little business on the side and somebody pays me $50 through Cash App, you don't think I'm going to swipe that money? It don't make sense how the thought process is and for our young men and women. But verse 8.
The book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 8.
We done got all the way off of where I was at, where Deuteronomy flow.
This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. Mm-hmm. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous.
Right.
And then thou shalt have good success.
Right. And now, we didn't go over it, but if you go back to Deuteronomy 28 and start at verse 1, we keep the commandments and the laws and statutes. Everything we're going to do is going to be prosperous and we're going to be blessed. But we have to return back to keeping God's laws and commandments. We can't keep doing what we want to do and expect to be prosperous and have good success. Even if you get a little bit of success in this world, don't get deceived. Because the same way Satan can partake an angel of light, he could throw you a little blessing to keep you on his side. So we got to understand to keep the laws and commandments of the Lord. And so we know that prosper and that success comes from him. I know we've been hitting this scripture a lot lately, but Baruch 4, we've been hitting this one a lot lately. But it's so critical in our day-to-day lives.
Some scriptures is like that. The book of Baruch, chapter 4 and verse 1. This book of the commandments of God. No, this is the book of the commandments of God. And the law that endureth forever.
Forever.
All they that keep it shall come to life. But such as shall leave it shall die.
Right, and that's what our people don't understand. And like we brought out at camp today, if you're not keeping these commandments or you fell away from these commandments, you're literally a walking zombie. You're walking in the congregation of dead. Your fate is pretty much set. Even though physically you might not have perished yet, you're already sealed for death, eternal death. Keep going.
Verse 2. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated.
Right, and one of the scriptures I used to close out with all the time is Psalms 119 and 59, where it says, I had to think on my ways and turn my feet to thy testimonies. It's basically saying the same thing. We got to turn from our ways back to the laws and take hold of it. Take hold of that light. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation.
Right, and we just read what makes us prosperous. What's good? What good success we'll have. Go ahead.
Verse 4. O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to God are made known unto us.
And that's and not the pride of life or anything like that, but that's the pride we should take in knowing we're God's chosen people. That he did this thing specially for us. Not any other nation. But either we don't know through ignorance or we take for granted that we're God's people. Like we were telling a young brother today, he understood the scriptures and saying, man, okay, yeah, I understand I'm an Israelite. But that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. Because now we have to be doers of what he requires of us. And we've been reading it so far throughout the whole class that we have to be obedient to his words. Plain and simple. He is our heavenly Father. He is the most high God. Nothing above him. And we don't pay him the reverence and the respect that we're supposed to. Because even on earth, we have earthly parents. We read that, what, Hebrews 12? Mm-hmm. We have earthly parents that chastise us when they try to keep us in line. And then we ask why we're going through the things we're going through when we're not obedient to God.
It don't make no sense.
Everything the Lord set up carnally in our flesh is the same way we should think about our spiritual relationship with him. From marriage to our wives, from being parents to our children, to being forgiving and asking for forgiveness from our brothers and sisters. All the same things we expect from the people in our groups and our cliques and our families it's the same thing on a higher magnitude that we're supposed to be dealing with the Most High with. We went over it the last time I believe was in class about we can't hold grudges and then ask the Lord forgive us. We can't build like that.
It's in the law.
Right. What's that? Leviticus 19?
Yeah, Leviticus 19. The same thing
17,
same thing Christ is saying in Matthew 18.
So
and Matthew 5. If you remember you got with your brother, take your gift from the altar, leave it at the altar, and go make up with him.
Right. And the same thing we read when we break bread. We can't come before the Lord any type of way and any type of mindset when we got things that we're dealing with and going on. And that's why the scripture says there's many sickly among you.
Yep.
Because we're doing things out of order. That's the crazy part about it. The Lord set up an order, perfect order. Now, whether you open it up and try to find out what that is, it's on you. But then when you do things your way and it doesn't work, don't go crying to the Lord. What we joked about a couple weeks ago? The Lord gonna laugh at your calamities.
Yeah.
Go to them other guys you was dealing with.
Yeah.
Go to them. That's how the Lord gonna look at you.
Man, we might as well hit that real quick, man. Jeremiah 2:26 or 27. It's just like Paul looked out over Athens and said he saw the whole city given to idolatry. Yeah, 26 or 27. We'll start at 27, man.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 2 and verse 27, saying to a stock, thou art my father, and to a stone, thou hast brought me
start
forth.
at 26.
Verse 26, as a thief is ashamed when he is found, so is the house of Israel ashamed. Their kings, their princes, and their priests, and their prophets.
Right, because they're serving idols. Watch, go ahead.
Say to a stock, thou art my father, and to a stone, thou hast brought me forth. For they have turned their back unto me, and not their face. But in the time of their trouble, they will say, arise and save us.
Right. You think that wood and that stone going to get up and save you, especially when you have transgressed the laws of the Lord, and he said he going to punish you. What can they do?
And I'm not speaking bad, because it's horrible situations when people get shot, killed, murdered, whatever it might be. But I remember after Nipsey Hussle got killed, Lauren London, right? That's the right one? I forget. Anyway, the girl he was dating at the time, she was like, yeah, he was, basically teaching her a lot of things, and they would burn their sage every day to keep the evil spirits away. And so I jokingly, and I'm not taking his life for granted, but I guess he didn't burn the sage that morning. Because they put so much belief into it, but I guarantee you as soon as he got shot, Lord, God.
Right.
They didn't go burn no sage when he got shot. It's the same thing they're saying right here.
Verse 28.
But where are thy gods that thou hast made thee? Let them arise, if they can save thee in the time of thy trouble. For according to the number of thy cities are thy gods, O Judah.
Dang, man. Where they at? They can't help you. All right, where to?
I don't know, making me want to read, what is that, Psalms 1 or Proverbs 1? So I will laugh at your calamities.
Proverbs 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Proverbs 1.
The book of
20.
Proverbs, chapter 1, and verse.
It's in the 20s.
I want to see if I want to start up a little bit. Verse 24. Because I have called, and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof.
None of his counsel, none of his correction. You don't want that. You want to serve idols, keep Christmas, do all these other things the nations do, worship Diana, Mithras. Go ahead.
I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh.
He gonna mock when your fear cometh. Like, where your guys at now?
When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me.
Damn, you good.
For they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord.
Right.
They would none of my counsel. They despise all my reproof.
See, so because of that, now you got to pay the piper. You got to pay the what is it called? Got the sickle, the grim reaper. Nothing you can do about it. Nothing.
While we're right here, let's go to Proverbs 6. Get back on topic here. We've been with my teacher. My in old English, you just say when you're getting off topic in your paper, like it's called bird walking. You'll be on subject, and all of a sudden you get to something and start going way over here with it. We've been doing a whole lot of that tonight. 6 and 23.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. Right.
So this is important too as you take your notes and do your studying. The commandment is a lamp, and the law is light. These are different synonyms or things they're going to use throughout the scriptures to describe Christ, to describe the truth, to describe the path we're supposed to take. So we see here that it says the commandment is a lamp and the law is light. And these are things that guide us in darkness. And right now, this is something I always tell my kids to try to get them to understand at an early age. Let's be lights in this world of darkness. And I say those type of things so they can understand there's a contrast, there's a difference. So that way they can grow up, and then when I give them more, they're going to understand, well, dang, we are a set-apart people. We're supposed to be the lights of the world. Like we read in Matthew 5. We're supposed to be a light. You're not supposed to hide that light. You're supposed to put it out so it can light up the whole room. And that's how we're supposed to be. By doing these commandments, that's going to be an example. Like we were talking about at camp earlier. Giving alms to somebody that's in need, whether you hit them with 10 scriptures or just give them the alms, that action right there is being a light. Mm-hmm. It's showing them, not just giving them lip service or an ultimatum in order to help them. Just doing that good work is going to be an example, and you're going to be showing Christ without even having to pull a Bible verse. That's how we should be walking around. People should be like, man, there's a change in you. You're different. Oh, man, I ain't seen you in a while, man. You only act the same. Oh, what's those? You wearing fringes now? Everything about our walk with Christ should be illuminating to everybody else. We just read it in Baruch 4. Keeping these commandments is going to change our whole countenance. You should be able to see that on somebody. Just like what they say, when a woman gets pregnant, oh, you're glowing. Or when somebody's really happy, they can see you in a good mood. Mm-hmm. Oh, what's going on with you? You know, tight feel. That's how it should be with us, having that spirit of Christ on us. John 14.
Countenance.
Man shall be known by his look.
John 14?
Yes, sir. And verse 6. Try to speed this up a little bit.
The book of St. John, chapter 14 and verse 6. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me.
Right. So nothing we can do of our own selves is going to be good enough. We have to build off of Christ. He is the way. 14. Yeah. He is the way, the truth, and the life. All right. Back to Deuteronomy 30.
That's so.
You got something?
No, just laughing in my mind about how Christians use this. Like, your only way to the Father is through Christ, but they'll pull the scripture like, see, our righteousness is as filthy rags. Like, You
That's
need to
of your
gain,
own self.
Yeah, you need to gain some understanding of what you're reading. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Deuteronomy 28 and what verse?
30. Chapter Deuteronomy 30
Oh, okay.
and verse 19.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30 and verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you.
And just that little piece right there, there's nothing that's going to be done in secret to the Most High God. Everything you recording against your own self at the end during your life, everything is going to be documented, whether it be good or bad, and the Lord is going to judge you according to those works. So he said, all of heaven and earth are recording this day against you. Go ahead.
I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live.
Right. So when we talk about, we read in Baruch, keeping the laws is life, and the ones that forsake it is death. So now the Lord is giving you an opportunity. If you have a chance to hear this class, as you learn commandments and laws, the Lord is giving you an opportunity when you get that information to choose life or death. Are you going to be obedient or are you going to be disobedient? That's your option right there. And you read in Romans 6, the wages of sin is death. And sin is the transgression of God's laws.
Right.
So every time you say, nah, I ain't going to do that. Nah, I'm going to keep eating pork. My grandma ate pork all her life. She didn't get sick. You're choosing death right there. Out of your own mouth. You're going to be a witness against yourself when it comes to time for judgment. We can't take these things lightly. That's why, honestly, I rarely pull the scripture out at camp because I don't want to put that burden on somebody right away until they start getting built up. And that's something Brother Jacob here taught us too, about giving somebody 20 commandments and laws and stuff when you're teaching them and they just hearing it for the first time. Because you don't want to put that burden on them, because once they hear these things and understand it, the Lord is going to expect them to start abiding by these things. The Lord winks at your ignorance. But if you know these things and you fall away, you're choosing death. So the Lord has given us the opportunity, if you woke up this morning, if you're still breathing right now, to choose life. To choose life. 1 Peter 2. Oh, you got more? You want to go ahead?
You just said this a couple times. I'm going to pull this couple of verses real quick. Deuteronomy 31.
Mm-hmm. What you want?
Verse 19.
So
this song here is, which a lot of people get confused about. This song is the commandments. That's why sometimes we'll laugh and be like, yeah, we're a singing group. We singing these laws.
Psalms 149. Was that song? Was it 149? Sing a new song?
Yeah. And Revelation 15, 14 and 15, sing a new song. Singing the song of the Lamb and Moses. Verse 19.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 31 and verse 19. Now therefore, write ye this song for you, and teach it to the children of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in their mouths, that this song may be a witness for me against the children of Israel.
So the commandments, when, like you're saying, when you break the commandments, you're testifying against yourself. That's why Christ told him, he was like, you got one to testify against you, even Moses, when you break the commandments. Keep going.
For when I shall have brought them into the land which I swear unto their fathers, that floweth with milk and honey, and they shall have eaten and filled themselves, and waxen fat, then will they turn unto other gods, and serve them, and provoke me, and break my covenant.
See, so once you get good and comfortable and fat and living good, then you're going to forget about the Lord, and you're going to start serving other gods.
And that's when they say, like, you got to pray for God. You got to pray to God in the good and the bad times. And that's where that cliche statement goes back to what this passage is talking about.
Verse 21.
And it shall come to pass, when many evils and troubles are befallen them, that this song shall testify against them as a witness, for it shall not be forgotten out of the mouths of their seed. For I know their imagination, which they go about, even now, before I have brought them into the land which I swear.
Right. So the commandments, when you break the commandments, you're testifying against yourself. Like, you said it twice. I was like, man.
Now, all praises. Because I always, like we were saying earlier, you read so much over the years and time that you kind of like forget certain things until you touch on it again. But it goes right back with Proverbs. Like all his counsel, these commandments and these laws, that's counsel from the Lord. He's telling you how to obtain life. He's telling you how to do it, but we refuse it. So when these things come up against us, you don't have no safety net anymore. 1 Peter 2.
Right.
And 21.
The book of 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example, that ye should follow his steps.
Right. So physically and spiritually, everything the Lord told us to do and how he did it is the example we should move in. He showed brotherly love. He kept the laws. He kept the feast. He used wisdom and patience when he dealt with people in certain on situations. Keep going.
Verse 22. Who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth.
Right. He didn't speak foolish things. He didn't speak evil things. He used wisdom. He used the scriptures. He showed what the true definition of love is to all of his brothers and sisters as he walked. And he kept enduring all the way through the end and resisted the devil. This is the same example we should be doing. When he got tempted and Satan tried to tempt him several different times, the Lord quoted scripture right back to him. And he kept his faith, even in the time of weakness. Our bellies be full, like we just read in Deuteronomy 31. Our bellies be full and we still fall off. Christ was fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. Imagine the mindset you in and how, just like Esau, came in hungry and gave up his whole birthright for one meal. That's how easily we fall into sin and fall into traps. We get a little bit of weakness because we haven't built our spiritual houses up yet. Psalms 118. Psalms 118 and verse 22.
The book of Psalms, chapter 118 and verse 22. The stone which the builders refused is become the headstone of the corner.
And when I read this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, 118 and 22. When I read this, correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, Christ is that chief cornerstone. But when he came to the earth, the Pharisees and Sadducees rejected him.
They refused him.
They refused him. But he went out and his disciples went out to show that he was the way. And this is what we should be building on. We just read that he's our example. So if he's our example, that's what that chief cornerstone is. This is that building block that's going to hold up the whole structure, the whole foundation. So we can't refuse this. We got to take on Christ. We got to use him as the chief cornerstone for this building, for our spiritual temples, our building blocks. Back to 1 Peter 2. My bad. We was just there. My bad. Should have went there with it. Start at 6. My bad. We in the moment of when you taking notes and writing, it's
yes, sometimes you have to get it in afterwards, put it in order.
Right.
But the book of 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse
you start at 6.
Verse 6. Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, behold, I lay in Sion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded.
Right, and that's what we got to, that's like we went earlier. This is our wisdom and knowledge by following after Christ, which is following after his words, which goes into the laws and commandments, which goes into the light that we should be, the light that we should follow. All these things tying together to help build this nation. But what we don't do in a lot of things, and like it says in Luke 14:28, we don't count the cost. We don't evaluate the things that's going to be going on when it comes to taking on it. Matter of fact, let's go to Sirach 2. We don't count the cost. Huh?
You done here?
Yeah, unless you want to go somewhere else with it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about, let's just keep going.
Okay.
Verse 7. Unto you therefore which believe, he is precious. But unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner.
Right, and that's what we just read in Psalms 118:22. They disallowed. Keep going.
And a stone of stumbling, and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed. I got two precepts.
Go ahead.
First one, Isaiah 28. Just one of the places he getting that from. Both of them in Isaiah, though. Isaiah 28 and I think 16.
Mm-hmm. The book of Isaiah, chapter 28 and verse 16. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth shall not make haste.
Right. 100% talking about Christ. And Isaiah 8 and it might be 14. It might be... It's 14.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 8 and verse 14. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel.
So he was to the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the chief priests, and all of them that wanted to put him to death. He was a stone of stumbling. And remember, like I said in Peter, to which they were appointed. They were appointed to stumble at him.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
For a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem.
Right. Because all this is prophesying about when Christ was going to come, and the Pharisees and Sadducees and them. Even others, like in some of the writings of David, how they were not going to listen. But they were going to give him gall to drink. All that stuff was already prophesied. And he's that rock.
You done with
Yeah.
1 Peter?
Yeah.
Psalms 119. And 33.
The book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 33.
This is one of my favorite chapters in the whole Bible. Psalms 119, King David was sincerely pleading to the Lord and was truly, I don't even know what the word to use. No, that's Psalms 51. But yeah, but he was genuine. He was truly seeking out the Lord and his commandments and his ways. And this is how we should genuinely seek for the Lord. It shouldn't be just lip service. It shouldn't just be for a moment. It should be really diving in and sincerely having like what we call a heart-to-heart with the Lord. Go ahead.
And David was a man after the Lord's heart.
He was.
Verse 33. The book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 33. Teach me, O Lord, the way of thy statutes, and I shall keep it until the end.
Mm-hmm.
Give me understanding, and I shall keep thy law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart.
Not doing it part-time. This is just something you're truly living in. Like what some people say, man, I live and breathe basketball. I live and breathe football. We should be living and breathing Christ. And everything else to be added unto it. Everything else is easy after that. Go ahead.
Verse 36.
35.
35. Make me to go in the path of thy commandments, for therein do I delight.
Mm-hmm.
Incline my heart unto thy testimonies, and not to covetousness.
Right. And we know we shouldn't be coveting or idolizing or envying anything outside the Most High. Go ahead.
Turn away mine eyes from beholding vanity,
Mm-hmm.
and quicken thou me in thy way. Establish thy word unto thy servant, who is devoted to thy fear. Turn away my reproach, which I fear, for thy judgments are good.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, I have longed after thy precepts. Quicken me in thy righteousness.
And if look how sincere David is about getting in tune with the Lord so he can walk orderly, so he can build up a sure structure, a sure foundation on Christ. There's no other way to build. You got all these quote unquote smart people, wise people in the world that can build skyscrapers in California and build them so that way they have an earthquake, they can move and not fall and tumble. But then you go to Miami and a hotel just fall for no reason. They don't know what happened. And people get injured and die. Same thing in Chicago, the Windy City. The buildings can move with the wind so they don't fall because they knew how to build on that land in that particular area for the battles they was fighting. It's the same thing in our walk. We're fighting the whole world. So we need a power like Christ, the Most High, to guide us. And the way we get that is through his words and truly living them, being devout in it. Keep going. Verse 41.
Verse 41. Let thy mercies come also unto me, O Lord, even thy salvation according to thy word. So shall I have wherewith to answer him that reproacheth me, for I trust in thy word.
Right. The Lord is going to save us from our enemies, protect us from our enemies, and know how to deal wisely when we get confronted. Keep going.
Verse 43. And take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in thy judgments.
And a lot of our people are scam artists, con artists. They want to do everything but have true speech and honest conversations. He doesn't want the truth, the laws, the commandments to be out of his mouth at all. Go ahead.
Verse 44. So shall I keep thy law continually forever and ever.
And I just don't understand how we see keep the laws, endureth forever, perfect law. David said he's going to keep it forever, hold on to it till the end. But then we get here now in modern day Christianity, and we don't have to keep these things. Well, why are all these examples in the scriptures then? And this is why everything we're trying to build as a nation is not working. Go ahead.
Verse 44.
We can go read that again.
So shall I keep thy law continually forever and ever, and I will walk at liberty, for I seek thy precepts.
Go ahead.
No, but some people think it's keeping his law is bondage.
Right. Yeah, my bad. You're right. I got a little distracted. But yeah, that's the true freedom that we want. That's the liberation that we want. Because right now, sometimes you can't see it from the other side. Because the only time you might see brothers is on the streets, and we look like we in, war zone type, atmosphere sometimes. Because we're dealing with a lot of different spirits. We trying to compel our people to come in. So you might only see a niche of it. But when we have our feast days, when we know the mindset we're in, when we're going out here to work and dealing with all these different people, we're not bound by all the stresses of this world because we know the freedom that we have in Christ. And we know the outcome of all of these things. If we stay in tune with him, and like he said in 44, and seeking that law continually forever and ever. That's the liberty we want to be living in and walking in. Go ahead.
Verse 46. I will speak of thy testimonies also before kings, and will not be ashamed.
And that's the boldest we need to have. Like we were talking earlier about being in different environments and how we have to use our words in a certain way and still be bold and not diminishing what we believe in. But we still going to have that conversation, or we're going to speak truth with boldness, no matter if it's in front of kings or somebody at the bottom. Go ahead.
Verse 47. And I will delight myself in thy commandments, which I have loved.
All praises. Keep going.
My hands also will I lift up unto thy commandments, which I have loved. And I will meditate in thy statutes.
We could really read this whole chapter, but we're going to stop there. But the whole tempo of this whole chapter is basically what we just read in these 15 scriptures. It's about genuinely trying to understand and gain understanding. And look what he's asking for. He didn't ask for riches. He didn't ask for gold. He didn't ask for a kingdom. He said, I'm praying and I want to meditate on your laws and commandments. This is the liberty I want to be living in forever. And I love it.
Remember what his son asked for? He could ask for anything.
He prayed for wisdom so he could judge the nation.
Right.
And not judge them, but judge them to keep the order and do things fairly, and not have respect as a persons.
Right.
He prayed for wisdom to keep an orderly nation.
Yep. To judge the people righteously.
And the Lord gave him all the wisdom, more wisdom anybody's ever lived, and more riches than any other king had.
Yeah.
Huh?
Now they say don't keep the laws.
And now exactly.
Right.
And now they're saying don't keep the laws. This is why we're not prosperous. That's why I started off with Joshua 1:8. Because we're not doing the things the Lord said, and we're acting like we're going to get good success from that. No. In 20 years from now, it's going to be Black Lives Matters marching. It's going to be a Martin Luther King section, a Malcolm X section, then a Black Lives Matter section, and all of this is going to be the same history over and over again. until we come back under the laws of the Most High God. Through the faith of Christ, building it off of Christ and his example. Matthew 7.
The book of St. Matthew, chapter 7.
Verse 24.
And verse 24. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man.
So if you're not doing the laws of the Most High God, first of all, he's going to laugh at you in your calamities, and you're going to count you as a fool. You're not going to be wise if you're not keeping the Lord's commandments. We read that earlier when Brother Jamil brought it out about this is how we get our knowledge and understanding, through keeping the laws and commandments. Go ahead.
7:29, right?
24. I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock.
And I hope we understand what that rock is now that we're building on. Go ahead.
And everyone that heareth these,
25.
verse 25, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock.
Right. And then there's so many different precepts that can even go with that. But go ahead, keep reading. I lost it. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
But that they, because of that foundation being built upon a rock, nothing was able. How did what's the saying people got? Don't let nobody move you out your space.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
And then when you're built on that rock, your faith and everything is going to be so in tune that you're not going to be able to be moved. I forget the saying. It's like move you off your spot, something like that. I can't remember how they said.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let nobody trick you out your spot.
Something like
Is that
that.
what y'all meant?
Something like that. Basically, you're not going to be moved. You know what I'm saying? You're going to stand your ground. But when you're built on that rock, there's nothing that's going to be able to go against you.
But it's coming from Psalms 23. But you should not be moved. I think that's Psalms 23.
Walk through the valley of the shadow of death, now to be afraid.
Yeah, yeah. Verse 26. And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand.
And we see that California mudslides, sand slides, and what does sand do when you build a sand castle and the wave comes?
Wash it away.
It washes it away. One or two waves, that sand castle gone. It's back even and flattened down with the earth. Go ahead.
And the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell. And great was the fall of it.
And that's what we see, unfortunately, especially brothers that knew the truth, but they weren't really grounded. They weren't really, or they really didn't believe, or they really didn't have the fear of the Lord on them to really build on this sure foundation. Instead, they were just kind of like, hey, look, let me throw this house up real quick. Or like, I remember the first time I read this, the first thing I thought it was the Three Little Pigs. The first built his house with what, hay? The wolf blew it down. Sticks. Took a little bit harder, blew it down. But the one that built it with them bricks, had that cornerstone, he huffed and he puffed, and he couldn't do anything against it. Couldn't prevail.
The crazy thing about the truth, though, is when the house gets blown down, you don't know where that wind came from. The Lord is not going. You gotta be strong in what you believe, like we said, and don't get moved off of your spot or whatever this saying is. That's what you gotta do. You don't know what somebody else did or whether they had little faith or didn't believe or what. You don't know what it is. The Lord ain't gonna reveal it to you.
Right.
But you gotta make sure that you stand. You gotta worry about yourself.
Sirach 27.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 27 and
verse 3.
verse 3. unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Lord, his house shall soon be overthrown.
And that's what we're dealing with when we're not built up the way we're supposed to be. 27:3. And that's what's going. If we're not holding ourselves diligently, if we're not secured in Christ, our house is going to be soon overthrown. Just like we just read in Matthew, that them trials, tribulations, temptation, whatever might be coming at you, is going to overthrow you. So we got to be diligent in the Lord. And getting back to, matter of fact, let's go ahead while we're right here. Let's go to First Ezra, because this is something we have to do amongst our own nation. Like we read, well, I was saying earlier about like segregation and integration. When integration happened and people wanted to so-called help us or make things equal with everybody, that's when our people started dwindling down and losing their heritage, their culture, their power, their strength, because now other people were rising up, like we read in the curses, and were being rulers over us. First Ezra 5:68.
The book of First Ezra, chapter 5, and verse
68. Mm-hmm.
and verse 68. So they went to Zerubbabel and Jesus, and to the chief of the families, and said unto them, we will build together with you.
Right. So you read in Ezra, it says the adversaries. And you read in Ezra 4, it said the adversaries came and said, let us build with you. Go ahead.
Verse 69. For we likewise, as ye do, obey your Lord, and do sacrifice unto him from the days of Asbazareth, the king of the Assyrians, who brought us hither.
And that's what a lot of these other nations will do. Oh, well, we believe in your God too. But if you read in the law, there's still certain things. Yeah, if they're among us, they're going to be in the commandments, but they're also not going to partake in everything because it's not for them. Go ahead.
Verse 70. Then Zerubbabel and Jesus and the chief of the families of Israel said unto them, it is not for us and you to build together an house unto the Lord our God.
Right. If this is for our God, we're building a temple for our God, it's no need for anybody else to come and help with that. It's for us to do it. So if we're building this nation, it needs to be amongst our people. I remember when I first came in the truth, it was weird to hear. I remember a brother had said, I think he asked somebody on the street, is God racist? Is God racist? Well, he has a chosen people. He has a people he holds close to him, his own. So we should be separate from everybody else because God chose us.
When we was at the monument, Raphael talking to that white guy.
And
he asked him.
Right,
like,
right. Matter of fact, I was reading for him when I first came in the truth. Hey, look, I was table of contents and it all.
Is God racist? And he was like, come on, man, answer.
He didn't want to answer what color he was or nothing. Go ahead.
Verse 72. That's where I'm at?
71.
Yeah, 71. We ourselves alone will build unto the Lord of Israel, according as Cyrus, the king of the Persians, have commanded us.
Right.
But the heathen of the land, lying heavy upon the inhabitants of Judea, and holding them straight, hindered their building.
And that just shows you their true spirit, their true nature already. Because if you really genuinely wanted to help us, when we say no, now why are you trying to hold us back? It's the same thing that's going on in today's world. Anytime, you see it on a small level, and I know they're talking millions of dollars, but when these athletes start getting millions, who do you see them start to marry and cleave to and date and hang around? Or you see LeBron having meetings with the Jewish people and things like that. You a billionaire or whatever your net worth is. Why aren't you meeting with our leaders and our communities and things like that to come with a game plan to help rebuild us? Biden most of his whole entire campaign was black people, black people, black people, and ain't done one thing for black people.
You know,
the first thing he did was get an Asian hate bill signed in like a week. Like he did not one thing for us, but it's the same way they do. They want to cleave to us, they want to join together, and then they infiltrate. So now they could be a part of this and have some kind of control, or just be leaking poison into the whole thing the whole time. So it never comes to its true fruition.
He fell up the steps for us.
When LeBron said, I'm getting Jewish money, they blackballed him. They
Right.
apologize.
Exactly. Like they want to be a part. They want to help us as long as they can control it. They want to help us as long as they can be at the front of the table.
That's crazy. He had to apologize for that. But they can push out dehumanizing rap music to our people and ain't got to apologize for nothing.
The guy, that's the clip I should have had.
From the,
Breakfast Club.
Yeah, the Breakfast Club.
He straight up and said, hey, man, it's a business. I mean, not exactly. But the thing is, over the last 30, 40 years, you've programmed all of the people to think that's what good music is. Because when it was first, they hated our music, and when it was Fight the Man, come together, black communities, you know what I'm saying? And they walking around with guns, but it was to protect the black communities. That's what they really feared. But then they allowed that to evolve, and all they push now is a bunch of destruction for the black community. And you look at every other genre of music, they don't do that to themselves. They don't do that to themselves at all.
Yeah, when Public Enemy came out, they hated Public Enemy.
They was having whole news conferences about banning them and and stop playing their music.
But then you had all of them rap groups back then come together and make a song called Self-Destruction, which was a message for our people. You haven't had a song like that since.
And then the people that do actually have some, wokeness or maybe some intelligence, the ones that's not rapping on a 2nd and 3rd grade reading level, those are the ones that don't get heavy airplay. And it's partly our fault because we're not requesting it, we're not spinning it, we're not playing it. Because we're so desensitized to what's going on out here. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse to now you got Sexy Red out here on mainstream music.
Yo, I heard...
That's mainstream music. And then on top of that, they're pairing her with some of the biggest artists that keep her alive. Keep that going. Not keep her music alive. Excuse me.
Bro, I was... So they was playing that while we was at camp.
Oh, yeah. We did hear some of that, yeah.
And when I heard it, I looked at Jose and balled my face up because the sound of it was irritating as hell. I couldn't even tell what she was saying, but her voice was extremely irritating.
When you start to when you really seeking the Lord diligently, that stuff starts turning you off. You're not gonna be able to mix in with that no more. Like all her music, if I'm skimming through the radio, that's the only time I hear it. I've never YouTubed or looked up that kind of music because it's like I understand. I see what it is for the headline, but the Cardi B, the Meg Thee Stallion, the Glorrillas, and all that crazy city girls, I'm not searching none of that music out because it's like you said, it bothers you, it's irksome. As soon as you start to hear it, it's like, man, that's trash. And then what infuriates me even more is that I know what it's doing to our people. Just like David played the harp to calm Saul down, calm his spirit, remove that evil spirit off of him. This music is riling up a whole bunch of perverse spirits and stuff inside of our women and men, and it's causing them to do all kinds of extra things, whether it be lewd, fornication. That's all they're promoting. And how can we build a nation if everybody's okay with being single, sleeping around, not building a family structure, and let them be them. Your parents listen to Prince and he dressed weird. That's not the same as to what's going on right now. It's such at a high level right now, and it's way more accessible. You can look up any song you want in a phone now and play it instantly. Back in the day, you had to wait for the DJ to spin it again.
Yeah, to keep calling them too.
Exactly, or the company, the producers or the label had to pay more money to get it spin more.
Look, he looked like he didn't even make a face because he don't understand what that's like. When you got a girlfriend and you calling in to get y'all song played, you got to keep calling and calling.
This nigga going to the bar with 5 cents on the jukebox.
Finish off verse 73. Let's finish this chapter.
Verse 73. And by their secret plots and popular persuasions and commotions, They hindered the finishing of the building all the time that King Cyrus lived. So they were hindered from building for the space of 2 years until the reign of Darius.
And that just shows you how wicked all these other nations are. They claim they wanted to help us, but then they hindered us for years to go back and build the temple. And this is what's going on even today. Everything that we say we want to do, even people like Dr. Sabi. Now, I don't know what his faith was or what he believed in, but as far as the health and the things he wanted to do for our people, he said he went to all the major black leaders, Oprah, Farrakhan, all these people, and none of them wanted to endorse him and help him, which would have helped our people greatly. Because, you know, Oprah put out a book or make a suggestion for Christmas time gifts, people are flocking to it. You know what I'm saying? Or Tyler Perry say something, people are going to flock to it. But you look at the leaders we have, and we don't really have any real leaders in our communities because they don't do anything for us, is what I mean when I say that.
You said Tyler Perry, you talking about a man that dresses like a woman.
That's my point. Our people, they love that because they feel like, oh, he's successful. We love a successful black person. We think like they are leaders and stuff like that because they made it. But if you look at what they're doing or how they made it, it's a lot of wickedness going on in that, or a lot of selling of your soul, so to speak, to get to that position.
They don't care about the character of that person.
Exactly. That's why I can respect Dave Chappelle for not wanting to take the $50 million to do what they wanted him to do. Now, granted, you know, he still married an Asian chick and all that stuff, but he still speak a lot of truth, and he still didn't sell out in that way just to make it great. And now he's in a space where he can almost say anything he wants, and he gonna get canceled because he didn't play their game.
Was it Malcolm X that in a speech, I don't know, it was either him or someone from that same time period, and they said that you can tell the character of a nation by the character of its woman. We in big trouble.
I never heard that before until now, but I definitely can believe that because we give. That's another post. I should have screenshotted that and gave it to you for the class. It was another post where we're competing with each other. So now all the roles is getting messed up. Women are rising up and they're being the alphas now. There's nothing wrong with a strong, smart woman, but there's also order that the Lord set up, and our men have taken a step back because we switched roles in our minds, and that all goes back. You know what? That's what I was.
Willie Lynch.
The Willie Lynch letter. That's what I was supposed to look. If you look at 2 of those chapters in there, specifically talk about how they would purposely generate men that way. They would raise the men a certain way that they would be physically strong and mentally weak, and they would build the women up to teach them to be in order to their masters and not buck up.
So basically, what you do, you destroy the image of the husband.
Totally.
In front of the woman and the child, so that she will raise that child to be subservient to the white man so that it doesn't happen to him, therefore making him physically strong but mentally weak.
Yep. And it keeps the women strong because they're the ones, they would always go to the women to make the changes. They would go to the women and get them to make the men and all the other women do certain things. They would go to the women. So, and like we said at the beginning of the class, same thing they do now. You go to these other countries, you don't see the women always taking the forefront, but you here in America, they go straight to the moms. Even if the dad is standing next to her, they still put the mic in front of the mom. Because that's the same thing they was doing during slavery to empower the women to be above the men.
You remember Bill Cosby? He was back when he used to do stand up, and he was talking about how a man.
You about to get canceled now.
Be careful. Well, how a man, you know how he's raising his son, and from an early age, you start taking him to football practice and stuff, and going, just doing all the things with him to get him, playing the game, and then he plays high school ball. You go to all his games. You go to college. You go to his games. And then he go to the pros and become famous, and they stick the microphone in front of him. He goes, "Hi, Mom."
Right.
Just the hell with Dad. The hell with Dad.
And that's the narrative they've been. Yeah.
Right.
But then you fast forward that to the situations where the men weren't in the kids' lives anymore, and now we got another couple generations of that. And a lot of it's systematic, but it's because of the wrong we've done, though. Because of the wrong we've done, the Lord allowed them to have that power over us to destroy our families.
He sent them, like we always read.
Right.
He sent them against us.
And then you get the situations now where, and now, thank the Lord, I don't know how true it is, but I've seen the stats in like last year where they're saying like 70% of houses now actually have both parents. Like it's starting to be on the uprise now. I don't know how accurate that is, but all praises. Because we need to start making this shift back to men leading their house. That doesn't mean the wife is not still strong. I want a strong woman. But as long as she understands that my role is to lead, like Christ led the church, my role is to lead the family. And the thing is with that, women and men, you have to prove each other before you take on that relationship and make a family. The argument women make would be, well, what about if he's not a good leader? What if he's not leading properly? Well, why are you following him? That's what I went back with the sister and said, we both got to be accountable. I'm not pointing the finger at women. What I'm saying is don't enable this bum to be a leader or to be in that position. And they, but the women have the mindset now where they want a beta male. They want a strong beta male. They want what somebody said in another post. They want a trick. I think it was on Die Post. They want a trick dude just to spend money on them, be weak minded but have money.
Literally, the woman influence has like a tremendous influence on what even men like.
Right, exactly.
Into clothing too.
That's a perfect example. We buy all the clothes in the world to impress a bunch of women at a club, and she went to Rainbow and bought a $5 outfit, and we spent hundreds of dollars just to impress a chick at the club for one night.
Was it Dave Chappelle that said, yeah, it was Dave Chappelle. He said a man will live in a cardboard box. The only reason he buy a house is for
a woman. like the other picture. It was a picture like a TV on the floor and a mattress on the floor. Yeah. And the caption was like, men are cool with this. And you're like, why is he cool with that? Why he ain't got... I ain't never put decorations on my wall until I got my wife either. Like, I mean, I had the necessities. I had a couch and TV, but I wasn't putting up decorations and pictures on the wall and nothing like that before I met my wife. It's not that I grew up in a house like that because I grew up with my grandmother in the house. So, yeah, we had all those kind of things. But outside of that, men are simple. Men are simple. Mm-hmm. We real simple. But like you said, Jamil, because of the competition, like you said earlier, of men and women, it starts building up, and now we got these unrealistic ideas of what it's supposed to be. And then also TV influences that, love and hip hop.
And the woman use her power for the wickedness.
And exactly.
Not for the good.
And
she
right.
use her power to actually rechange that man into that not a beta. What's the opposite?
Alpha male.
Alpha male.
Right.
She can correct him into an alpha male.
The thing a woman can do is support her man. That's all you got to do. You were created to be a helpmeet. That's a support system that we're supposed to have, not a burden. Not matter of fact, Proverbs 14:1. I got like two more scriptures, brother. Since we talking about Proverbs 14:1.
But I mean, we need to talk about this stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm just laying it down.
Yeah. The book of Proverbs, chapter 14, and verse 1. Every wise woman buildeth her house.
Buildeth her house. Go ahead.
But the foolish pluck it down with her hands.
And that's that nitpicking. That's the constant argument. And Jimmy, did you put that picture up there at the race?
You want me to? No, I didn't.
No.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool.
No, it's up here. It's up here.
When they're racing and they got the obstacles.
Speaks a lot.
Yeah. Put that up there real quick because it sparked a whole nother argument. And I seen it about 5-6 times, man. And I finally got annoyed. And I reposted it and gave my little 2 cents on it. But it says the picture speaks a lot of the struggle of a woman to reach her goal. And my comment was, it's because women are trying to step over to lane 4, 5, and 6 and run with the men. A woman has her race to run, and it might include some laundry, maybe some cooking and some ironing. But what this picture conveniently did was act like men don't have any obstacles either. So the problem, you can. The problem with that is now women, you already have your obstacles. You believe this picture as if men have no obstacles. You come over and try to run the man's race too and find out, oh crap, it's a lot going on. And look at this man ain't helping me on my side. Well, I'm not trying to run your race and my race. My job is to provide, to lead, to teach, to direct according to how Christ would have directed the church. Your job is not to lead, direct, and teach the family as Christ would have did the church. And that would solve so many problems. But now, because women got a little bit of power, society's raised her up. She's successful. I think 3 years ago, or right before COVID, I think black women were leading the country and starting their own businesses.
Oh, yeah, I can believe that.
It's a beautiful thing. But that doesn't mean now you rule over men. It does not mean that.
That's why they're so single.
And that's why they
always
sing.
complain
But then
about
guess
being
what?
single.
Those same single, successful women go out and sleep with married men.
Bro.
Or have a nightcap and don't have no true relationship and still looking for something. You are very valuable, but you don't know your worth. And what that could mean for a marriage and a relationship. So going back to, you should be building up your house and not plucking it down by trying to do things outside of what the Lord gave you to do. It's not even that what the man's telling you to do. It's what the Lord told you to do. And the men are just supposed to teach it and enforce it. And that goes from the woman and the children. What you got?
No, I just was ready to say, because I worked a lot of jobs, right, in my little bit of time I've been living.
You
But
need
it's-
the mic?
Yeah, you got a mic over there.
I don't know if they can hear you or not. I don't want you to go through a whole spiel.
I'm gonna get where I was at though, but I worked a lot of jobs in the little bit of time I was living, and basically when I see if it's like predominantly so-called black people job, they like to put the black woman over top of the black men in the job, and it's just like, I'm not saying like she couldn't do the job, but it's just like, why this is a repeating
Where I work at, it's the same kind of thing. And now, no, I ain't even gonna say that because I only want to paint that picture. But when women do get these positions, like you said, I think the people above her know, because you can't offend a woman. That's like voodoo. If you talk back to a female at the job, even if she's wrong, that's like voodoo. Because like, why would you talk to a woman like that? So she gets her way.
She can persuade a man.
Exactly.
into taking the shit.
She can persuade
That
a
you
man
don't-
because you don't want to buck up against him. Or if she's halfway decent or pretty, I mean, men will fold. So where I work at, I mean, I work at a shipyard. I don't really talk about where I work at publicly a lot because, you know. But where I work at, a decent looking woman can go the whole week and not have to buy her lunch at my job. Because men be suckers for them. I'm straight up. They suckers for them. And I remember a quick story. When I was a mechanic, we get new apprentices every year so often. And this attractive young Israelite woman, she didn't know she was Israel. So you can imagine the stuff she wore to work and things like that had everybody else tripping about her. Everybody tripping. I was like the only dude that didn't flatter her and always try to. So we was doing a job, and my job, since I was the mechanic and they just started, I'm supposed to teach them how to do this particular job. She was doing it her way. And I said, hey, that's not right. Oh, well, I said, nah, I get what you're saying, but it's still wrong. I said, you got to do it like this. I left her alone. Came back. She was still doing it wrong. I said, hey, you can't do it like this. Like, you got to take that down and redo it. Why are you being so mean to me? Like, it's just like I'm not offended. This is what the job is. Sorry, I'm not being soft on you and say, oh, do what you want to do. You're wrong. You're wrong. That's what it is. You're wrong. But there's so many people that don't do that. I mean, literally, I've seen grown men carry another grown woman's tool bag to the job. Like, it's crazy. Like, so, like, going back to what you said, then you put them up in these powerful positions where they can lead, and it goes to their head, and men just start folding. And then that's not just work. That's what's going on in real life too. You just fold because men just be desperate for us. I don't know, but that's why we got to reevaluate as men what our desires are.
But see, and another thing too, when those women, when they get positions like that, and then they think they're above the man. So a woman that's making a lot of money, she's not going to accept a man that's making $30,000 a year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They'll be single, and like you said, sleeping with a married man.
And the thing with the money thing is, I hate that conversation too. Is it 50-50? Should the man pay the man? Look, if you truly with the man, then the bills are gonna get paid. If you put it all in one pot and pay the bills, then what you got to say? It doesn't matter who paid more, who paid less, or who makes more, who makes less. And I see.
So it's gonna come to me, and I'm a distributor.
And that, but all right. So I see a comment here. I think that's Char Jacobs. It says women are lost because so many men were lost. And I'm not sure how long you've been on class, but we definitely addressed that. It says most of what the strong black women do is because there was no upright man to lead properly, and most left the home and made new families. So this goes back to what I said earlier, and maybe you weren't on the class. It's about the proving process, though. If you are attracted to a man, whatever it be, physically, mentally, whatever it might be, that got you on a conversation and y'all go to your first date, the proving process for what you both expect and want out of life should start. And you should not cross the line of creating a family or getting married, where now you're in a covenant, in a contract, basically, with somebody, and you haven't proven them to be worthy of a leader. So yes, the men have to do better, whether they're lazy, lose sight of the whatever it might be. The men have to be structured that way, but women, don't allow yourselves to have children or marry a man that hasn't proven any leadership skills. So many people, I know I'm getting on them now because it's just bringing back all these type of things. Because then women to get on and be like, my baby daddy ain't nothing. Well, what does that make you for choosing him as your baby daddy?
You chose him.
I'm not saying that gives him a pass. I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
But don't allow yourself to be in that situation. Now, I'm not saying there's not a man that probably could have been pretending for 2 years. I mean, maybe he pretended for 2 years and tricked you. But that's not the majority. The majority of us are making bad choices.
Right. But the problem is now is that it's been going on for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I grew up with both parents in the house, and a lot of others did. But after that, because I was in the 60s when I was born, but after that, now you got a whole lot of single. Yeah, just
I said, don't show your age.
But you got, a lot of people is raised in single family homes and stuff, and
it's almost normal.
Yeah, we've gotten way away from that. So the thing now is to try to correct the things that we have done, and then the people now to listen and don't make bad decisions like we have made. Like me, I chose the wrong woman to marry, and I'm paying for it.
Right.
I don't, you don't hear me complain about it because I understand
and
it was my choice that I messed up.
And that's another thing too. I don't want people to misunderstand. Is when I made these posts before on Facebook or something, I think people were looking at like I was coming from a condescending way, like I did it perfect too. No, I didn't do it perfect. I didn't do everything in my life perfect either. But now that I learned something better, I know better, I'm following God's words. Should I not try to help the next person?
Right.
I'm not saying bad things and different situations don't come up, but it's our job to say, hey, don't make the same mistake I did. And I thank the Lord, the woman I had a child with, we're still happily married, and we have 2 beautiful sons. Like I'll thank the Lord that our situation still worked out where we could be a solid family. Everybody's situation don't work out like that. I get it, but that's when it goes back to saying, hey, me have gone through the ups and downs and in the dating world and all those type of things before I knew the truth. It's got me to the point where to say, hey, I might know a little something about that situation, and maybe we should try to do better so we don't keep repeating this same thing over and over. A girl tried to come at me a couple years ago. Well, you weren't a virgin when you got married. You're right, I wasn't. And thank the Lord I didn't have kids out of wedlock or just kids, baby mamas everywhere. But now I'm trying to help somebody else not make that mistake.
Trying to correct, because the whole thing is to correct our people and get back to where we're supposed to be. You need the mother and you need the father in the house. You need a father there so that the young man can see what it means to be a father. The young woman can look and see this is what I should be looking for in a man.
Right.
Not some dude with his pants hanging off his ass.
And that just take me back. I feel like we went over this class maybe. I don't know if we were just talking about it or maybe we was on camera. But that just goes back to the real order of things is the man the husband, the father should be there to say, hey, the girl that my daughter, the man that she fancies, I got to prove him too. I got to be willing to give my daughter to him. And a lot of that doesn't happen. Right. A lot of these women that have baby daddy issues and stuff like that didn't even have the father structure to say, hey, you're making a good decision. This is a good man, or it's not. Or I don't approve of this marriage. And that's so voodoo now.
When you read in the scriptures, the father is supposed to give his daughter to that man. So that man has been approved by the father. A lot of women, they will not take the dude home because they know he don't approve of him.
Right. And I get that's the mischievousness of a child and a young adult, but now it should click. Like, you did that for a reason. You did that for a reason. Or you see it on TV shows or even reality shows. Oh man, she never brought a man home before that she was dating. Because she probably knew the last 3 or 4 people she dated wasn't worth or up to par to bring them in front of her parents.
Shalom, Sister Charlene. How you doing?
Oh, you know. Okay.
Yeah, she came to Passover.
Oh,
she came to unleavened bread.
I can't see that picture. My bad. I'm showing my age now. I got glasses on. All right, last scripture. Just because we've been talking about this, we'll close it out with this. For 1 Corinthians 11. Because this is the order that we should be building our nation in. This is where we should be starting off at, with the model that Christ set up. Now, in this model, the man needs to be a godly man. We're not just saying any man. The woman needs to be a godly woman. We're not just saying any woman. Because Christ is of the Most High. So we got to be in that same spiritual order, context, and everything when it comes to our relationships and our families here on earth. Start at verse 1.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11 and verse 1. Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ.
Right. And that's what we read in the beginning of the class, 1 Peter 2 and 21. We are to follow after Christ. And we know that Israel, our nation, is his wife. This is who we're marrying into Christ. So that spiritual relationship we have with Christ is the same relationship we have here on earth that men should have with their women, to provide, protect, and lead. Go ahead.
Verse 2.
1 Corinthians
11.
Verse 2. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you.
It's always fun to me. That's why when you start at verse 1, all those ordinances that got taken away. I wonder what these ordinances Paul's talking about. Go ahead.
Verse 3. But I will have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
So when you're approving a man, is he following after Christ? See, we get caught up in the numbers. Oh, how much is he making? What's it? We all in poverty right now. We all in captivity. There's only 1% of 1% of millionaires in the black community. Everybody's not making 6 figures. And the cost of living is high. It is what it is. We understand the struggles. It's the same thing they did to us in Egypt, to keep these burdens on us, to keep us away from following the Most High God. Don't let all that stuff distract you. Go ahead.
Verse 3. No, I just read that. Verse 4. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered, dishonoreth her head. For that is even all one as if she were shaven.
Right. So basically what I wanted, we had to go that far down, but it's that the proper order is the Most High God, Christ, the man and the woman, and then the children. And that's how we should establish everything. If you're dating a man and he doesn't show that he can lead you spiritually and physically, financially, stability, things like that, and don't get caught up into the numbers unless, if a numbers thing is what it is, if he don't have his own gates, if he can't at least get his own gates in the car, then maybe, but don't let, he make $40,000 and I make $50,000 be a deterrent. Y'all make $90,000 together. Like when Christ said we're supposed to be one flesh, the man and the woman, y'all are one unit, one flesh. It should be 100. We both giving all of ourselves into this. We both giving our all into this, not 50-50. You giving 50-50 means you got a backup plan because you keeping the other 50 for yourself just in case. What kind of mindset is that going into a marriage?
Sign this prenup.
That you already going in saying it's going to end.
Man, I gotta say something, man. So there's I gotta jump on the brothers for a second.
Yeah.
Cause there's it was another video I saw on social media where the girl said, he left me, y'all, cause I wouldn't have sex with him.
Were they married?
No, they went on a date.
Oh, that's
so she wouldn't put out. So dude left her at the restaurant or wherever they was. Like,
let him go.
it was probably the best thing for her.
Exactly. That's a red flag. People talk about red flags
Yes.
and cap all the time, but y'all can't see it when you live in it.
I mean, to me, it's if like you put that energy out there though.
Maybe. Maybe.
I mean,
either way, she still saw what he was about. Now she should not give that energy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Had to give that energy.
Because what they're not doing is they're not going by the scripts.
Right.
So, because you're supposed to go to her father. If the dude ain't trying to go to your father, you know he ain't serious. I knew if I was messing with a woman and she won't trying to meet my family, she didn't care about me.
And I, unfortunately, am not proud of it when you look at it back in the day, but I know I avoided a lot of parents too.
Yeah, because you know what your intentions were.
I wasn't.
My mama cool. I ain't trying.
But
that shows your intentions.
Right. And looking back at that, that's wicked as hell that we think like that. So that's why we both got to tune into Christ first. Get stability on the chief cornerstone. So that way when you do meet somebody, you know what mindset you need to be in to discern that person. Because both out here in the world, you're both going into it blind and you're going off your emotions at the moment.
And because of that, man, because of everybody going after their lust, now you have caused personal trauma
right
on each other.
And
everybody
then if you have children, on them.
Yep.
But, whew, man, we went all over the place today. I hope y'all got what this class was supposed to be for. I got something out of it. Since we're right here, go ahead, 13.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13 and verse 13. We can start at 12.
All right.
1 Corinthians 13.
Yep, and verse 12. For now we see through
Let's start at 11. Verse 11. Because all these grown, childish people, we got to grow up.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13 and verse 11. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. Damn, it sounds like Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
So us men, we got to put away childish things. And that's a cliche saying, just because you're grown don't mean you're an adult or whatever, vice versa. We got to really step up. Because it's not just for, to get a mate, to get a woman, but it's to help lead our nation. And like the class title, we're behind enemy lines, so we need strong, bold, diligent men to lead the way in our communities, in our nation, and stop being childish. Go ahead.
Verse 12. For now, we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known.
Right, and Christ is going to fix all of this stuff at the end of the day. He's going to clear everything up for us to teach us the way we need to. Go ahead.
And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity.
And that's what we truly got to show to each other, that true love and charity to unify our nation together. If we truly show that love and charity to our brothers and sisters, man, that's going to eliminate so many problems just off the gate. And then we can really start coming together to build. And part of that charity is humility, being slow to anger, having patience with your brother and sister. Because we all not in the same spot, man. We're not all in the same spot. And just because we know a little bit more than we did a year ago, we can't get pride on us for that person we just met yesterday. So, Lord's will, y'all got something from this? In honor of Elder Ozias, just because class is over don't mean you got to stop reading and stop studying. It's a great time of year. We're coming off of Atonement, Tabernacles. We got some new moons and dedication coming up. So let's stay in the spirit. Let's keep enduring. And let's stay diligent, like King David was saying, man. We got to stay diligent in these times. Things are speeding up. Things are speeding up, man.
We got these devilish holidays coming up, too.
Oh, yes. Please stay clear of those things, man. Yeah, that is, the end of the month, Halloween. Mm-hmm. We got to try to, man, like Ozias used to say, man, tuck in. We got the Sabbath day for a reason, man. So a lot of things happen to our people when we go out and be out doing the things the world is doing, especially on the Sabbath days. But all praises, man. In the In the comments, you'll see the Cash App. So if you guys are willing to help out with alms to help push this movement and help people in need, we greatly appreciate that as well. I'm Brother Roy.
I'm Brother Jacob.
Shalom.
Shalom.
True.